They're the most famous, most studied structures on the entire planet. And yet, for thousands of years, the Pyramids of Giza have been hiding a secret so big, so fundamental, that it changes absolutely everything we thought we knew.
You really have to ask yourself, why would a civilization of geniuses, masters of engineering and logistics, decide to build the most ambitious project in human history in a location that makes absolutely no sense? Seriously, it's a paradox that has stumped the greatest minds for centuries, creating this huge gap in our knowledge that's been filled with all kinds of wild theories. Well, today, that gap finally closes.
Okay, let's just try to wrap our heads around the scale of this problem. The Great Pyramid alone is made of more than 2 million massive blocks of stone.
Think about what that actually means. Millions of blocks, each weighing more than a car, had to be quarried and then somehow dragged over 8 kilometers of brutal, shifting sand. It sounds completely impossible, and for a long time, that impossibility has been the central mystery of the pyramids. Until now.
So, let's be perfectly clear about what we're up against here. The location of the Giza complex isn't just a little inconvenient. From an ancient engineering standpoint, it's just, well, it's insane. Look, there's one simple rule for pretty much every huge construction project in the ancient world. You build it right next to a river. A river is your superhighway. It's your lifeline. It's how you move tons of material and thousands of workers. It's just common sense. But Giza, it's sitting way out in the middle of nowhere, miles from the modern Nile.
This has basically been the reaction of every expert for the last 200 years, a complete logistical nightmare. So what did they know that we didn't? What was their secret? Well, the clue wasn't found buried in some secret chamber. It came from hundreds of miles above the earth.
And this is where our story takes a hard turn from ancient history into something that feels more like science fiction. A whole team of experts, we're talking geophysicists, archaeologists, you name it, they turned their eyes to the sky, using satellites to solve a riddle buried for millennia.
Now, their secret weapon was this incredible technology called synthetic aperture radar, or SAR for short. So what is it? Simply put, it's a type of radar on a satellite that can paint a hyper-detailed picture of the ground from orbit.
But here's the really crucial part to understand. SAR does not work like a camera. It's not just snapping a photo. Instead, it beams down radar pulses and then listens to the echoes that bounce back. It can feel the difference between rock and sand, smooth and rough. And the real kicker? It can see right through clouds and even a few meters of desert sand.
And if you want the perfect analogy, here it is. Imagine a bat the size of a planet, flying in space. It's using echolocation to map not just what's on the surface, but the faint ghostly shapes of things that are completely hidden underneath. It's mapping things that are invisible.
So, armed with this incredible new way of seeing, the team pointed their satellite at the desert west of the Nile. They began to scan, and then they saw it. At first, the data probably looked like a bunch of noise, just static. But to the experts, as they filtered and processed the images, something impossible started to take shape. A faint, ghostly feature, snaking its way across the landscape, hidden from human eyes for thousands of years. And this wasn't just some random line in the sand. No, it was a massive, winding depression, way too smooth and regular to be a natural formation. But here's the absolute bombshell. Its path was a perfect match, connecting the locations of 31 different pyramid sites. 31. I mean, could this actually be it? A ghost river? It was a mind-blowing theory, for sure. But a cool image from space is one thing. To actually rewrite the history books, you need cold, hard proof. They had to go get their hands dirty.
So now the whole operation moves from orbit right down to the sands of Egypt. The team had a radical idea, and now they had to prove it was real.
They used two key methods to check what was under the surface. First, they used geophysical surveys. You can think of it like giving the ground an ultrasound to see the layers hidden below. And then they started drilling, pulling up these long, cylindrical samples of earth called sediment cores.
And when they analyzed those cores in the lab, they found the smoking gun, something that has absolutely no business being in the middle of the desert, ancient pollen from plants that can only grow in or right next to water. That was it. That was the definitive physical proof they needed. A river had been here.
So there you have it. The ghost seen from space was now confirmed by the proof found in the sand. And with that, one of the biggest mysteries in all of history wasn't just solved, it was completely turned on its head.
You see, for centuries, we've been asking the completely wrong question. We've been asking, why did the ancient Egyptians build their pyramids so far from the Nile? But the real question, the one we should have been asking all along, is why did the Nile move so far away from the pyramids?
And this lost waterway now has a name, the Ahramat branch, from the Arabic word for pyramids. And let's be clear, this wasn't some tiny little stream. It was a 64-kilometer-long major branch of the Nile itself, deep and wide, flowing right up to the Giza Plateau. This was their logistical superhighway.
And this timeline just lays out the story perfectly. The oldest pyramids, built high up on the plateau, right next to this powerful, healthy river. But as the climate slowly changed, the river started to shrink. So what did the later pharaohs do? They built their pyramids at lower and lower elevations, basically chasing the water as it disappeared. So when you boil it all down, the single idea that changes everything is this. The ancient Egyptians weren't miracle workers who built these things in a desert. They were brilliant engineers who built them on the lush banks of a river. The pyramids didn't go to the desert came to the pyramids.
This discovery doesn't just solve a mystery, it completely rewrites a key chapter of our own history. And it leaves you with one last, really exciting thought. What other massive secrets from our past are still out there, hiding right under our feet, just waiting for us to find a new way to look?